Okay guys, welcome back to Fast Shape Performance. I'm Tim Davies and today I want to talk about potential. Yeah, so I want to talk about potential really, and I've actually recorded this before about a week ago and I kind of started watching it back and I was like, not happy with it. So I wasn't happy with it because it wasn't very honest really, it wasn't very authentic, it wasn't like I was trying to lie to you, but I just thought to myself, if you guys had been in like the crew room or something, would I have spoken in the same way? And in all honesty, I probably wouldn't have done. No, I think I was concentrating too much on like presentation style at the inclusion of anything else. You know what I mean? I could have included so much more. So I watched it and went, no, I don't like that. I'm going to record it again. This is us recording again and talking to each other now. So I want to talk about potential. And the reason I want to talk about potential is because I get a lot of emails from a lot of people telling me how they have an issue with self-belief. And I want to say that I have an issue with self-belief as well in many areas of my life. But it's quite interesting really when I listen to young people talk about this problem, because I think it's kind of endemic really through society right now that people have this issue with their own ability and what their own success outcome kind of looks like. And that's fine, that's normal. So I want to talk about my issues with potential when I was first starting out, my issues with self-belief. And then I want to give you some, obviously, I want to give you something here that you can try and use that might help you out a little bit better. Okay, so I've spoken about my kind of academic history, really. And the fact that when I was much younger, going through GCSEs and A-levels and everything else and degrees and stuff like that, I really didn't believe too much in myself. And I think because of that is why I did really badly throughout my academics. I mean, I got most of my GCSEs, but then I failed all of my A-levels. I think I had an E in my A-level and the other two I failed. And then I went to university to try and get anything I could qualification-wise. It was either that or repeat the A-levels, right? And I started an H&D course and I pretty much almost got chucked off that in year 2. Managed to get myself onto the second year of a degree course, and luckily in the final year of that degree course, I've now spent 4 years doing a 3-year course, I was able to just put it out of the bag and get myself a degree, knuckle down a bit before I left university. And the way I did that was I had done some reading about potential and self-belief, and I came up with this kind of 3-part mantra that I used back then. And what I used back then, I'll put it on this board here, ding, was, as I said, 3 parts. So it started really off with ability, and then it was execution, and then it was results. And those 3 things, ability, execution, and results, was what I was using in my last year of my degree course to kind of try and get some self-belief really, to say, look, you can at least pass one academic course in your life. That's what I was trying to say to myself. Now, the reason I put this up here is not so that you're going to go away and use this, because you might notice I haven't actually concentrated too much on this at all. What I want to do is get rid of this now, and let's go and put up something else. And the something else I want to put up now is something that a guy called Tony Robbins came up with. And when I saw what Tony Robbins had come up with, I thought that's quite similar to what I had, but he's really extended it, and he's Tony Robbins and he's awesome. Although I do watch some of Tony Robbins and I don't understand it, but either way, he's got a 4-part mantra that he uses. And in doing so, he kind of loops it back on itself. And I think this is important. It's much more important than mine. So I'll put it up here now. And notice at the very top there, it says potential. Next to it, it says action. Then it says results. And then it has this belief in there. And I really like Tony Robbins' one because the belief bit, well, that's really important. And it's something I didn't really have in mind. Mine ended with results. But the great thing about Tony Robbins' one is that it goes around in a loop. So potential to action, action to results, results to belief, and belief back to potential. Now, why is this important for you guys? So is it important for the guys that are going to try and join the Air Force and fly as fighter pilots or transport or radio pilots, or going to go into the regiment as a gunner? Is it important to those guys that are trying to look for promotion in their job, or the women that are trying to start their own company, or what is it? You know, it doesn't matter. This can be used for everything, and that's why it's so good. And I come back to this now, and I'll try and hand it to you guys because I think you're going to be able to use this. So how about we explain it? So the first part of this is potential. And the biggest issue I think a lot of guys have, and girls when they write to me, is this: they have a very limiting self-belief, which makes a lot of sense, of course, because whenever you go on YouTube or Facebook, you see this glorified world that you don't have. It even hit me recently, in fact, where a friend of mine's gone out to Australia with his family and he's traveling. And I'm on Facebook and I'm looking at this going, wow, this guy, he's in Australia traveling with his family. That's awesome. I wish I was in Australia traveling with my family. Scroll down a little bit, and then I saw a guy who just bought, is quite a wealthy friend of mine down south. He just bought a Lamborghini Huracan, and I looked at that and it's in bright yellow, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's, I think he's a year younger than me, and he might be the same age. And he's just gone and bought a Lamborghini. I mean, that's massive, right? So I'm struggling with this. I'm like, oh, I'm not a success at all. Oh, I'm really dejected. And I scroll down, and there's a guy, he's had another kid. It's his third kid. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's had 3 kids. This is awful. You know, I feel really, really low. And I scroll down, and you can understand what's happening. What I'm seeing is the most curated posts these guys put up. Everything, as you know, is like gold, isn't it? Everything is being manufactured, and it's the best way they want me to look at their lives. And also, it's not one person, but I'm seeing it as one person, because there's me feeling a bit like, oh, it's winter in the UK. And then there's these 3 guys, and it doesn't matter that there's 3 guys. It's just like one person on Facebook, really. It's just this whole thing doing really, really well. So, I mean, it might not be real, but either way, I had this kind of, I felt really sad. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm rubbish, and these guys are awesome. So, potential and self-belief can affect anyone. And what Tony really says about potential, and this is what I was saying when I had my little mantra that I used 20 years ago, was it's all about, and I was using ability, it's all about having that self-belief and trying to somehow get that belief in yourself. And I had to think about this as I was driving home today. What does it mean? So yeah, not everyone's going to be the King of England, right? Because you just can't. You're not in the lineage of anything else. You can't do it. And not anyone's going to be an astronaut. And we all know this. We're not stupid. We can't all be astronauts or anything else. But you've got to ask yourself, and this is what I wrote back to one of the guys the other day that wrote to me. He's a young guy. And he was saying, I don't think I can make it into the Air Force to fly airplanes. He said, my grades aren't great, and I know it's a long training course, and I don't really understand whether I want to take up arms against anyone, and I just don't feel confident in doing it. And I said to him, look, the Air Force has got to employ someone. I mean, the Air Force has got a lot of airplanes to fly. Someone has got to fly those airplanes. And I said to him, why is that person not you? So I said, so get a piece of paper, write it down, and write down all the reasons why it shouldn't be you that steps into that C-17 cockpit, or why it shouldn't be you that jumps into the Apache, or why it shouldn't be you that's the intel specialist in the Air Force, or whatever it might be, or the airline pilot, or the CEO of that company, or the entrepreneur. Why shouldn't it be you? Because if it's not you, it's going to be someone else. So it may as well be you. But you've got to engender this self-belief. You've got to start coming up with reasons why it isn't, put them to one side, and then we've got to believe that we can do it. And that brings us into the next step. And this is the problem. Okay, potential. So, what you do is you don't believe that you can do it, so you write me an email, I write back to you, whatever, and I say, of course you can do it, stop being an idiot, okay? And we have a big chat about it, or you chat to your parents, or you chat to your friends. Friends can be difficult sometimes when it comes to, bigging yourself up or getting them to support you, because they don't want you necessarily to leave. Understand that? It's like giving up smoking, right? Quit smoking, while other smokers give you a cigarette, they want to keep you. So be careful about, asking your friends, but ask someone, write me an email, whatever. Let's pretend now you've got that potential, because you have. Let's pretend you've convinced yourself that you've got the potential to do something really good with your life. The next step is action. Potential, action. This can be difficult. And in fact, what Tony Robbins says is the biggest problem he has is getting someone from the potential to the action point. He can persuade them that they have the potential to make massive, tangible change in their lives. But he finds it very difficult to get them to do it. It's the biggest step. And if you get to the action point, you'll get to the results, you'll get to the belief, and you'll get back to your potential again. It's going to work for you. But he's got to get them to the action stage. Here's the thing. I'll tell you a really quick story right now about last year. So I was overweight for the airplane. We all know this. I was about 99 kilograms of man. 99 kilograms is quite heavy for what essentially is a land mammal. Yeah, not a whale or an exception oversized dolphin. So I had to lose a lot of weight. And I had to lose about 10% of my body weight. I had to get below 91.9. So I said to myself, set a target. I said, I want to get 91, below 91, bit of buffer. So the doc stopped me flying. I had a medical. He said, look, you've been in office for a year. You're 42 now. You put a bit of weight on. And it wasn't even the food. I think it was a sedentary lifestyle. I wasn't really eating anything. My diet's quite good. I'm kind of paleo with, a few bags of crisps and stuff and all that kind of rubbish. Eating out too much and a few beers. So I used this potential action results belief, and I said to myself, okay, I got to lose, before I get back in the jet again, I've got to lose about 10 kilograms. That's about just over 20 pounds in American language, 22 pounds. How am I going to do that? Start with the potential. Have I got the potential to be 91 kilograms? Well, I was once. I was. And in fact, I was about a year ago, 91 kilograms. And over a year, I've put on like 10 kilograms. It's outrageous. So I know I've got the potential. I don't need to convince myself I have that. So now I've got that potential. This is the hardest step, is to action that plan. It's what I called the execution phase when I was doing it back 20 years ago. How do I action this? Well, this is what I did. I went back to all my sources I used to read when I was a bit younger on paleo. So Tim Ferriss, Mark Sisson's The Primal Blueprint, the slow carb diet, all that kind of stuff. Read up about sugar, just refreshed my mind, all about this kind of stuff, all about the bad things. And so I had this. And then I said, right, I'm going to action a plan. I've got 8 weeks to lose this, 8 weeks. And so I think we spoke about the morning routine already, which I put in. So just get out there, get running, get in your fat burning zone, whatever it might be. Just action something early on. And I did these things and I actioned it. I went, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose this weight to get back in the jet so I can put some pictures up for you guys and talk about flying these airplanes. And then, so I'm doing this action and I'm doing this stuff. And then eventually, of course, I jump on the scales and I see that I've lost a couple of kilograms. Yeah, initially it's water weight, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I see a result. And I'm like, oh, I got a result. And I said to my wife, I got a result, check it. I'm actually 2 kilograms lighter than I was. And then, because of that result, I start to believe that I can do it. That makes sense? I start to believe, all of a sudden, that I can get my weight down to 91 kilograms. And then I believe I've got the potential again. It goes around, doesn't it? Remember what I said? Potential, action, results, belief. I've done the action. I've got the results. I believe. Now again, I see more potential. I'm like, there's more potential in me losing this weight. I can do this. Let's action something else. Maybe do some extra exercise, whatever it might be. Refine the diet a little bit and you see some more results and then you get some more belief. But it's really important. It reinforces itself, which I'm sure you can see from the diagram. So that's what I did with my weight. And that's how I managed to lose about 10 kilograms over the space of Christmas. In fact, don't try and lose 10 kilograms over Christmas, guys. It's absolutely miserable. And girls, it's not the thing that you really want to do. However, allowed me to get back in the airplane. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about potential. We've gone about 13 minutes now. That's pretty cool. The last thing I want to just give you a bit of a top tip here. I'm sorry the video's a bit rushed. I've got quite a busy schedule ahead this week, so I just want to get this tape out and I want to make more tapes and not be so refined with them, really. Just get the tapes out so you guys can have something there. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story that I had a few years back. I left university, tried to get into the Navy. Navy had turned me down. Remember, I'd failed everything. Yeah. So you want to think about potential. Think about my potential to get into the military when I failed my GCSEs, A-levels, and I got a rubbish H&D, and then I got a half degree. I think I got a 2-2 in the end. And then I'm sitting in front of the Navy saying, please take me. I didn't think I had any potential at all. And they did. They rejected me initially, straight away. They rejected me. So I've been rejected by the Navy. Eventually, after 6 months, I phoned them up and said, I'm working in an engineering unit here. I'm bored as hell. Please take me. All right, I'll do anything. Take me. They said, well, come and have another AIB, Admiralty Interview Board. I went down there, and as I think I wrote about, they threw me out halfway or whatever, and I went back and I was at home. I saw an advert in the paper thinking, I can't fly. That's fine. I'll do something else. I'll carry on my engineering. And it was for a boiler company, for a big industrial boiler company, just down the road from where my parents lived in Portsmouth, in the paper. So I got my CV together and applied. I did engineering at university, but boilers, entropy, thermodynamics, I didn't really know much about it. And the first thing that happened when I went for interview, there was another 5 guys in the waiting room. I was number 2 in, I think it was. First thing that happens, this guy gives me this piece of paper with 10 questions on. It's all thermodynamics, right? All thermodynamics. And he says, just jump through this real quick and then we'll do the interview. And I looked at him and I was like, I'm not going to be able to answer this for you. I said, there's 10 questions here. I said, I remember stuff about this from my degree. But this stuff, I just can't do it. It wasn't a big part of my degree. And my degree was 9 months ago, whatever, and I did my finals. And I'm not going to be able to do it. And he looked at me and he was like, okay. See you later. But I thought, no, hang on a second. Yeah, I know I've got the potential to sell boilers to companies. I can do this. A specialist boiler salesman. I can do this. I can do it. I've got the potential to do that. I've just got an engineering degree or whatever. The Navy just turned me down for a second time. I'm rocking this. So I said to him, look, I said, I can't answer your 10 questions on your paper. I can't do it. Not today. I can't do it. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take those 10 questions away with me, all right? I'm going to go home, I'm going to fill this out. And not only am I going to fill it out, but I'm going to show you my working as well, so you know that I've got an understanding of it. Because when you understand something, that's how you truly learn something. You know, you can try and remember it, but it's only by understanding do you really learn it. So I wanted to prove to the guy that I could really understand this. And then I said to him, I said, and listen, I said, I've just been out 2 applications with the Navy. I'm fully committed into going into this or whatever. And I said, but what I'll do, if you employ me in your company, I promise you that what I'll do is I'll go and do evening classes in any kind of thermodynamics related engineering subject that you want. And I'll take evening classes and I'll pay for them myself. And I'll really learn and master how to understand boilers so I can sell them better to your clients. And he said, okay, well, thank you. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you later. And I went home, sulking, and because obviously I wasn't that prepared for it. I didn't realize he was going to give me a test on thermodynamics. I mean, crazy interview is that? How dare he? And then I got a letter, I think I've written about before, where the Navy said, please come and start Dartmouth. We really liked your AIB. And so I did. And then literally, as I'm about to start Dartmouth, I get this letter through from this guy at the boiler company. And he says, look, we really liked your interview. It was the best one out of all the 5 guys. You're really honest about your failings. And you came across really authentic. And we really like to offer you the job. How crazy is that? He really liked to offer me the job, even though I couldn't answer any of his questions. And I think that's because I was quite open about the fact that I had the potential, but I just I couldn't really work it at that time. I didn't really understand what was going on. So I was honest with him, and he saw that and thought, you know what, we're going to give this guy a chance. I think really he's going to be all right. So really, if I can just get across to you, have a think about the potential action, results, belief matrix. It might really help you out. And really have a look, and maybe write this down and write stuff underneath it about what you want to do. It doesn't matter what you want to do in life. It hasn't got to be sitting in a cockpit like I've done for the last 20 years. And also, here's another thing about potential before I go, guys, and it's 17 minutes. We're going to wrap it up at 20. You've got 2 minutes 10. It's all good. A lot of the time, a lot of pilots, when they're walking out to their airplane, they do have self-belief issues, most definitely. I remember on the Tornado, night vision goggles, operational low flying in the tactical training areas in northern Scotland, going out of 4 ships, and we're being bounced by, this means being attacked by another aircraft. And I'm walking out on my nav, and we're thinking, you know what, we've got to be really careful tonight, because there's every chance we're not going to make it back off this one. I mean, there's some dynamic stuff going on. So even when your airline pilot's walking out to his airline and stuff, you know, he's still questioning his ability, maybe at a lower level, because they're obviously exceptionally professional, as most pilots should be. But what I'm saying is that self-belief will probably follow you, or lack of self-belief will probably follow you through your entire career of whatever you do. You're not abnormal is what I'm trying to say. Okay, if anything, you're exactly normal as everyone else. I mean, I'm a 20-year Tornado Hawk T1, Hawk T2 pilot, telling you right now that I still walk out that jet sometimes thinking, this is going to be hard. You know, I'm not overly convinced I'm either well read on that, or I could have done better here, or I better be really sharp on this, because, you know, this is going to be a really difficult sortie. So I still walk out sometimes with doubt, have to compartmentalize that, get that sortie done, come back in, and then I have to reflect on that performance. And that reflection, that debrief, is what makes me able to go out and do that again. Right, look, 50 seconds. Let's wrap it up. That's 20 minutes. I think seriously we've got to look at either cutting half this video out, which I think I'm going to try and do after this edit here, or try and speed me up. 20 minutes, guys. Really appreciate the time. By all means, if you are having any kind of self-doubts, whatever, hook me up with an email, okay? And I will answer that email for you, and we can have a chat about it. What I'm hoping to do in the future is get some online courses out there to try and help guys out, and also maybe do some presentations that guys might be able to come to. We can have like a two-way thing, all right? So we can hopefully reinforce your self-belief that you are awesome and you are about to go and change the world, which is what it's all about, for the better, not the worst. Not like the Joker, be more like Batman. That makes sense. All right, good stuff. Guys, about 5 seconds. Tim Davies, Fast Jet Performance.